I had to decide job or my baby.
And for you, do you got an initiative with the business, right? I know you serve in the community, but do you got an initiative?
Attempting to serve everyone, but there was no retention there. There was no real purpose there.
How are you? I want to welcome you to the Content Aesthetic Show, where we take different med spa owners, different aesthetic professionals, and allow them to share their stories so they can help you keep thriving. And on today's episode, we have Whitney Johnson. How are you?
Good. Great.
Thank you for being here.
No problem.
Right. I want to know, what do you do in your business to make a difference in your community?
So I specifically target moms and parents of special needs children because I feel like it's an underserved community. And being a special needs mom myself, I understand the extra need that we need. It's already rough being a mom and a parent, but being a special needs mom, it just is totally different. So we need a little more attention, a little more care, a little more patience than a typical mom. I
love that. And so, being that you serve that special community, how do sometimes they have time for them? Because, you know, most of the time they're spending on everybody else. So
typically we really don't. They really don't. We have to really make time, and I help them with that by, letting them know that it's okay to set aside time for yourself because you're so busy taking care of your children and everyone else. It's important that you refill your cup. So I will sometimes go to them or try to pull them from their everyday life to come to me, to my spa.
Is that easy?
It's not. It's not easy. No.
And then as a mother yourself, that understands, that means they trust you more.
Yes.
Because you can really communicate.
Yes.
And so how do you market that?
So I'm in a lot of those communities for special needs children. I participate in the autism walk, yes, the cerebral palsy walk, things of that nature. So I participate in a lot of those, and it's a lot of foot traffic that I'll get from doing those things.
Well, how do you convert it?
So I asked them, when was the last time you had a self-care hour? Not day, self-care hour. And they're like, I'm like, okay, when was the last time you actually took care of your skin? The largest organ of your body. They're like, I just wash my face when I can, squeeze it in there. And I'm like, what does that do for you? And they're like, I'm depleted. I'm exhausted. I'm like, what if you took 30 minutes to I'll give you a routine specific to your skin. You do take 30 minutes out of your day. It doesn't have to be a full 30 minutes. It could be 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. But in one day, you do 30 minutes.
I love that. And let's take it back a little bit. Tell me, where you from? How you get here?
I'm from Baltimore.
Yes.
The rugged streets of the hood in Baltimore, Maryland. And growing up, my grandmother was the big mama of the hood. So she took care of neighbors and friends, and everybody looked out for her, and she cooked for everybody. So that was instilled in me, and I didn't even realize it. So that was instilled in me to really nurture people and have a heart for people, and as a little girl. So her and her mom, we cook, clean, everything, have family gatherings, and that brought me to wanting to come to Atlanta to take my children out of that hood mentality.
What made you choose Atlanta out of all of the places you could have went on this earth?
So it was two decisions. It was North Carolina and Atlanta. North Carolina was a little slower for me. Atlanta seems like we as people were thriving. and had the opportunity to thrive in places that we hadn't seen back home. So I'm like, okay, let's try. Let's go here and see what it's like.
How long have you been here?
6 years.
Okay, so I guess it's working.
Yes, it is. It is working. 2018, I moved here and I was pregnant with my baby who's autistic. Well, she's on the spectrum. And finding out she was on the spectrum and how my family back home, were like, well, bring her back home. And I'm like, I think we can find good resources here. And fast forward, there was a community created around my baby from a group of women or therapists who cared outside of the system. So she created a group for us, and I'm like the manager of it. And so being that helped me, helping other women helped me as well get through. So I didn't have to, travel back home and move back home to be with family. I created a family. Yes.
I think that's really, really big. And so when you was back home, were you doing aesthetics?
No, I wasn't. I work for the government.
So how did this transition happen, like from government to aesthetics?
So I worked for the DMV for 6 years, and I decided that we needed a change. It was so systematic and routine, and it's so easy to get caught into that. I'm like, okay, I don't want my children to grow up in the hood. I want to show them different. And moving to Atlanta, I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. So in doing that, moving here and finding out my baby was autistic, I worked for the post office. Funny thing, I worked for the post office because the DMV here did not pay the same as in Maryland. So I worked for the post office, and the post office took a lot of my time. However, I had a newborn and who's on the spectrum, so she needed even more time. So I was stretched thin, and I had to decide job or my baby. And I decided my baby. And in deciding that, I'm like, okay, what can I do to make a living? And I went back to the drawing board. I'm like, okay, what do I love to do? And what do I need to do? And I'm like, okay, I really love skincare. I had an idea. Well, I went to a dermatologist, and he gave me a prescription, a shampoo, and any topical steroid, and told me, hey, you can take this, but it's going to thin your skin out, so don't use it that often. However, it was for eczema. And I'm like, okay, I suffered with this for so long. How am I, if it's not a cure for it, and the medicine that you gave me, you tell me not to take it long because it's going to ultimately have a negative effect on my skin, what am I supposed to do? So I went searching for skincare regimens. I started at Sephora, how everybody starts. They're like, I'm going to go to Sephora and find something. I went to Sephora and picked up a few things. I picked up a brand called Fresh. It worked, but it was only temporary. So fast forward, I'm like, okay, I need to do something different. Went and sought out who works on skin besides dermatologists. I'm like, estheticians. So I went and studied, signed up for school, fell in love with it, and the rest is history.
So how long did you have to do schooling before you got started?
So I did 9 months.
Okay.
Yes, 1,000 hours.
So how was that? Because you left your job at this moment too, right?
Yes.
So how did you, being a mother, left your job in school, how did you balance?
I had to figure it out. I had to find a balance. And I still wouldn't say that it's always the same every week. because I had to take my baby back and forth to therapies. Her dad worked, so I take her back and forth to speech, OT, PT, ABA, you name it. Anything they told me that was going to be beneficial for my baby, I took her to. So I found a schooling schedule that was around her schedule.
Yeah.
So I made her first priority and, figured my life out after that.
So how did you start your business? Like, when did you start the actual business?
So I started so graduating school, I landed a job at a corporate spa, and they hired me right out of school. And I was so dedicated that they made me the lead esthetician there in the first 3 months of working with so many clients. And then that ended about a year later, 2 years later. It ended because the owner sold the business and told us that very same weekend. So she sold it on
she
Friday.
Didn't give y'all none of the profits.
No, nothing. She sold it that Friday and told us on Saturday, don't worry about coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, so, it forced me into entrepreneurship.
But y'all didn't get to work with the new owners?
No.
Okay.
So the new owners, they backed out in the midst of that. So the plan fell through for her.
So the way she did it said, all right, I don't want to work with you no more. You was going to leave us hanging.
Yep. She said, I don't want to do it anymore. So the new owners backed out. So there was no more corporate spa.
Yeah.
And it forced me to, I'm like, you know what? I need to take my talents to where it's needed.
Yeah.
And that was to like my community that I serve a purpose at.
So how long ago did you start your own?
In January.
Of this year?
Yes. Yeah.
So I knew that.
Oh.
Right? I just wanted you to break down that because you also started it, then had to take a 2-month break. Why?
Because of that corporate spa. No, because I needed to take a step back because of the foundation wasn't together. Yeah. The foundation of my business was not together.
So when you got in, did you just think, oh, I'm going to start my business, this LLC, everything going to be popping, money going to be running in?
Yes.
And it wasn't that.
It was not that.
So what gave you that mental check to say, let me take a step back?
It wasn't flowing as smoothly as it should. And the retention of clients was not staying. So before I went in and found my purpose of the community that I needed to serve, I was serving everyone.
As everybody started, they serving everybody?
Yes. So I was serving everyone, attempting to serve everyone, but there was no retention there. Yeah. There was no real purpose there. Yeah. There was no real stability there. And a business cannot thrive without clients, stable clients, stability, systems. Yeah. So I took that 2-month break to really set the foundation.
And that's after you already had a suite, so you paying for rent.
Yes.
You paying for maybe devices and stuff like that. It's like, whoo.
Yes.
And you just now got to get yourself together, your household together. So that was scary.
Yeah, it was.
So what told you that, all right, it's time to go? Like you went back. What were some of the things you learned when you took the step back?
I took a few entrepreneurship classes. Yeah. So I learned more about entrepreneurship, more about serving a purpose, a specific target audience that was unknown to me. Yeah. A target audience, narrowing down what purpose you really want to serve. How can you serve your community more than just, helping people with skin? Yeah. It's deeper than that. Yes. Because, your skin is a product of what you have on the inside. So understanding that and knowing that, it's like, you have to really, it's not just, Instagram.
Yeah,
It's not just
filters.
social media, It's not, you want to be an actual filter.
Yeah, I say this all the time. Like, when it comes to aesthetic professionals, they think that they can just jump into business and everything is supposed to just spit out money.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then when it doesn't, they want to give up or they want to run over here, run over there. It's like the only way to win is to build a team around you and dominate.
Yes.
And understand that your return is not just financial.
Right.
See, your return could be emotional. It could be physical.
Yes.
It could be financial. And all of these things are what determines a return, not so much just money. Yes. And people look at money as the only return. But no, if you're able to grow with your mind, with your vision, with your clarity, if you're able to serve more, oh my gosh, you winning.
Yes.
The money gonna come as long as you continue to build. And I just don't like, I see a lot, they come in and just the mindset be so set wrong. Like, I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years, right? Full time, shooting content.
Wow.
So what that means is I understand when you're going to have them entrepreneur seasons, you can't give up. You got to go hard.
Yes.
You can't jump on to the next thing. You got to be like, all right, what did we do that actually worked?
Right.
And let's do it now. Right.
Yes.
Let's do more of that.
Exactly.
Right. Let's go out and get in these streets. Let's get on these phones. Let's go back to the old clients that bought from us.
Right.
See why they haven't been in.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, and for you, do you got an initiative with the business? Right. I know you serve in the community, but do you got an initiative? And what I mean by is, do a percentage of the revenue go to autism research and development?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
Do you market that?
No.
Then it doesn't. Then it don't work.
Right.
You have to market that. That needs to be one of your main top purposes on your site, in your messaging. Show you at these different things helping.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely,
you can't do it under the table and expect for the people to know.
Yeah.
Every percentage of a dollar. Every dollar we get or whatever, let's say 10% of every dollar we give away to this. Right?
Yeah.
And then you start showing, let's say you guys got to $1,000 where you show a check where you gave away $1,000 to this autism research development or whatever, or you get what I'm saying? You got to show that.
Yeah.
It don't matter if it's $1,000, $500, $100. Show you giving back consistently.
Yeah.
That right there, then your partnerships. Now you got to start building partnerships. Well, now because they're throwing fundraisers, they're throwing events. Now your logo and your brand is right next to there.
Yeah, that's fire.
It's dominate.
Yeah.
Not just wait for nobody knock on your door.
Right.
No, I'm coming to your door. And if you don't open it, I'm gonna build a door next to yours. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
But that is like the importance of content and messaging. It's one thing to know who you serving, but it's like, how are you going to serve them?
Yes.
It's a big thing. How has content impacted your business?
It's a game changer because you reach a lot more people through the internet, and good content, valuable content, and a mixture of lifestyle, education, seeing behind the scenes. So it has
do you suffer with content at all?
Yes.
What element?
Every element.
What you think is your biggest?
Putting it together so I can record and I can, okay, let's do this. But talking in front of the lives and, producing good, crisp content.
I don't know what good, crisp content is.
Oh, you do. It looks clear. It is clear and concise, the content. So the messaging is clear. The visual is clear.
Okay. I get it. I'm hearing the excuses, but you got a purpose.
Yeah.
You got that. You got your little girl counting on you. If you don't get the message out, it's so many moms out there that's distraught because they had to take care of this extra responsibility that they didn't feel like it was necessary. you know?
Yeah.
And you got to rejuvenate them to get them more energy.
Mm-hmm.
So your message, it got to just come out.
Yeah.
It's going to talk to who it's going to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to talk to them women.
Yeah.
You know, because they need that uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
The daddy might have ran away.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So now the mom by herself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what they're going through, but 1 hour of self-care might rejuvenate them. Seeing other women go strong for their children might rejuvenate them. So that's why it's important that you stop worrying about the quality and just give the message. That's it. That's it. Because your heart there, you know, and just making sure your mission is seen and heard. It's going to take some time, but as long as you stay on it, it's going to go. And don't get distracted by social media and what other people doing, what they posting, because that's temporary. You got to go all in. Your daughter's 6 now, right? It's all for her. So don't play around. Don't worry about the quality. Worry about the message is getting heard. That's all. And you can tell when the message is getting heard. Because the mother's going to start raising their hands.
Mm-hmm. They're
going to start reaching out. They're going to start, even some dads out there too, you know, that the mother ran away.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, just go all in. If you could shine light on one of your superpowers, what would it be and why?
My gift for children to gravitate towards me without even knowing me. It's unseen, but it's felt. So I love children, and children know my heart. They can, children can feel the energy without even you saying anything or them saying anything. Mm-hmm. So I love that I can be a safe space for them. I have a special place in my heart for special needs children. So where they are not able to do things for their parents, if I come around a couple times and get familiar with what they need and what they're asking of, they'll do it for me. And I love that, because it's hard when you're trying to feed your child and they're not eating, or if you're trying to get your child to drink and they're not drinking, but then a complete stranger come around and is able to do it.
I love it. If you can say something to an aesthetic professional that might be on the verge of giving up, what would you say to encourage them? Look at that camera.
If you're on the verge of giving up, I say don't. Because right when you feel like you're at your breaking point, if you push a little harder, a little further, a little bit more, it's going to come. Whatever you feel like is not working, it's going to work. Just push a little further. It's right after your breaking point. So whatever your breaking point is, push a little past that and you'll get the victory.
Whitney, I want to thank you, for coming today, for sharing your story, for contributing your life to help others. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes God give us things, give us missions, we won't be knowing that's our mission.
Yes.
And when you figure it out and you show up, He bless you unlike ever.
Yes.
Make sure you put your daughter, show your daughter face as this business. Make sure she get to see it and understand why mommy going so hard. I think that's a big thing. And I want to thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
I want to thank you for tuning in to the Content Aesthetic Show. And I want you to know it is okay to sometimes take a step back. But don't give up when you take that step back. Just get clarity. You took that moment so you can go out and get better clarity, because you're going to always be what we call lifelong learning. You will always be learning. So do not get mad at yourself when you don't know something. Go out and seek the information so you can keep going. And that journey is what makes you who you are. Not the status of your bank account, not the social media follows. It's the journey that you had to overcome so you can serve more people. I'm Dontel Antonio, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Content Aesthetic Show.